Now, supplementary elections held across several states in Nigeria have produced mixed results for the ruling APC and opposing PDP. Now, here's a breakdown of the major outcomes. In Oyo State, the PDP strengthened its grip on Ibadan North federal constituency. Fola Oyekunle secured victory, widening the gap over the APC in this key urban stronghold. Now, over in Ogun State, the APC retained dominance in Remo federal constituency as Adesola Elegbeji recorded a decisive win against the PDP. Edo State saw a dramatic return for barrister Omosede Igbinedion of the APC, who reclaimed the Ovia federal constituency seat with ease. In Edo Central Senatorial District, Joseph Ikpea delivered one of the widest margins of the by-elections, sealing another landslide for the APC. In the north, Kano State's Gari Sanyawa constituency was fiercely contested, but APC's Garba Gwarmai narrowly edged past the NNPP to retain a crucial House of Assembly seat. And in Kaduna State, the APC clinched major wins. Joseph Bagudu emerged victorious in the sensitive Chikun Kajuru federal constituency. In Zaria Kawaye and Basawa constituencies, Isa Haruna Ihamo and Dahiru Umar-Sani of the APC both defeated opposition rivals comfortably. And meanwhile, in Zamfara State, the contest in Kaura Namoda South constituency was declared inconclusive by INEC following irregularities. A supplementary poll will be scheduled. Here to share his experience on the field with us, we are being joined by News Central's correspondent Victor Mbadike, who spent the day monitoring the by-elections in Ibadan North, that's Oyo North, yesterday. So we're going to be asking what the mood was like for what you observed through the elections yesterday.
Well, it's interesting to see that majority of the states where this by-elections held retained their positions. Ibadan was not anyway out of sort. But the North is, of course, like I always say, that is one of the biggest local governments in your state, with almost 500,000 residents alone in that particular place. So you expect that politicians will always woo voters to get, on their side. The entire process was really peaceful, to be honest, except for one or two infractions in Ward 6, particularly where we do hear that there were issues of beavers and biometrics. Okay. Issues basically, but all in all, you could say that yes, indeed, we had issues with voters not coming out to vote. Okay. This is not unusual. It's not unusual because these are things we've seen over time in elections. And yes, the numbers eventually improved. Sometime at 12, we saw people really trickling out to to exercise the franchise. But the good thing again, like I always say, that we didn't really record any major incidents except for the beavers issue at Ward 6, where people's current pictures were not aligning with the registered pictures because faces have changed.
In the morning, exactly.
Yes, faces have changed.
Is this due to the time in between when they registered it and currently when the by-elections?
Absolutely. For most of them, we've been voting over time. They've grown older, exactly. Right? Faces probably changed. Maybe their beards have changed. Maybe they've grown fatter.
Having a beard or something. And also the condition of the country. Where
absolutely.
The economic factor also has
but should that really disenfranchise them really from voting? Because
when you look at that, come 2027, noting that this was a challenge where people's faces are not being recognized by the machine, do you think that there should be another kind of like a recourse for people who might have gone through such major physiognomic changes, because like you have said, this has been quite a time since they initially registered?
Well, this should serve as a poser to INEC. This should serve as a lesson to them. This should serve as a preamble to what to expect in the next couple of years when the major election begin to happen. The luck that INEC has is that this particular election is basically just a local government. So imagine if it was an entire local government, the entire 33 local governments area of Ibadan, or for your state rather, then you could be seeing very serious problems. But because this is just a particular local government, just releasing infrastructure around there, so this should be a poser to INEC to begin to look at some of these loopholes, look at these issues, fix it, block the lacunas and ensure that we don't have a repeated scene in the next election.
There's also another challenge that one could squeeze out of this instance of faces not being recognized by the machine. And it's the fact that when you combine that with voter turnout, which we recorded low, and from the few that you interviewed yesterday, we could tell a certain age bracket. So I'm wondering, are voters becoming older? Especially in Oyo State, there where most of them were actually the older lot. What's happening to the youth? What happened to the youth in this by-election?
Well, that's a very fantastic question, because I remember a colleague asking me a very funny question yesterday. They said, please get the youths to let's talk to the youths. I had to start looking for them, because really, I looked at some of this polling unit. I could really count the youths that came out to vote. The majority of them were grandma, grandpas, parents who came out to vote. And they asked us, where are the youths? I think for me, the youths are more interested in just getting about their business, because they probably feel that with or without them, the elections will be announced, winners will be announced, the elections will go. But for the older ones who probably know the importance of, voting, know the importance, of some of these electionary period are coming out, wherever, what are they even doing now?
Does that highlight?
Maybe, but if you look at, sadly, our youths, in terms of all the population of this country, we make that large number.
The major part, actually.
But we are not actually coming out, and that's why you get to continue to see, a lacuna in terms of the number of people who really come out to vote eventually, because the youth are not coming out.
Does that highlight a major need for re-education, voter education, when it comes to voting?
Absolutely.
Especially when it comes to youth?
It cuts across.
The question to ask next is, what kind of education over what kind of medium? Where would we find the youth, and how can we bring them in to the notes that they need to start voting?
All hands really need to be on deck, beginning from the media ourselves too. We need to begin to put down some of these things on air, tell them how important it is for them to come out to exercise franchise and choose their leaders. INEC also has to do their own part. Stakeholders, civil society organizations, all of them need to continue. It's not a one-off thing. It's not a one-off, because this is a challenge over the years.
I hear you say the media, as we're doing now. But
yes, exactly.
Do the youth actually still converge on these kinds of media? Or should the apparatus itself change, where parties and INEC itself starts to educate voters using such platforms as social media? Because I rarely see
I was going there, because like I said just a few minutes ago before I got in here, majority of our youths will monitor the elections. The first they want to do is to go to social media to get to know who won or who lost. So which means that their focus or their attention span is basically most of the time on social media. So when the media is trying to pass these messages, raise their awareness, campaigns, I think we should make use of the social media as well, because that's where you get majority of them, unlike our parents who really did not use this handle. So I think it's important now to begin to send the right message, the right signals to them that, hey, come next elections, you guys need to be out. Because if you do not come out, you create room for rigging, you create room for illegalities in some of our polling units, you create room for, in the end, you have nobody to blame for, for the leaders that eventually,
are selected or elected, rather,
Absolutely.
into positions. Thank you very much, Victor Mbadike, for having this conversation with us.
As always.
Yet again. You can get some rest now.
Let me go back to my mala from Ibadan.
All right. Now,